You've been sitting, everybody's been sitting. Do me a favor, stand up. Everybody, if you're able, sit down. Just wanted you to get the blood flowing. You've been sitting there for a while. I know it's the evening. Students, you want to get to Hemingway's and such. Thank you for having me. It's always good to be back in Pittsburgh. I do live in a much warmer climate. I am not happy with the weather. But it's always good to be back and see the Cathedral of Learning and to welcome and congratulate all of you. Dean Delaney, Dean Morrell, faculty and staff, thank you for having me. 2015 graduates, congratulations. This is very exciting. You may applaud. This is well done. December of 2003, I was sitting in your seat and wondering what was going to happen next. Lord knows I did not believe I'd be living in the Middle East, and coming back and receiving this type of honor is very humbling. But I want to start off with, I want you to take a trip down memory lane with me. 9:50 a.m. on a Wednesday morning in September of 1999. I woke up and realized that it was 9:50 a.m. Business calculus first exam was from 9 to 9:50. I don't even think my mother knows this story. I had overslept and missed my first college test. Exactly. You can imagine the colorful vocabulary that was going through my head. So after I calmed down and finally collected myself and said, you're not going to get kicked out of school. It's okay. Do something about it. I emailed my professor. And I told him that I overslept and I missed the exam. And he let me take the test. So what happened? Why did he give me this pass? Nobody ran over my dog. My grandmother didn't die. I didn't get hit by a pit bus because I didn't look left on Fifth Avenue. But I told him the truth. But the reason he let me take that exam was I had done the work ahead of time. I had gone to the classes. I had done the homework. I had done well on the quizzes. So I want to impart you with a couple of lessons today. And the first lesson is show up and do the work ahead of time. Because there will come a time where you screw up. But you will have the credibility to show that you've done the work ahead of time. It's a little bit more forgivable. So you will have those instances in which you're going to say to yourself, oh man, I really screwed this one up. But if you do the work ahead of time, I guarantee you it's a little bit more forgivable. Your professor will let you take that test. Your boss will give you a pass, and you can take it as a learning experience. So when you think about time and its measurement, where I live, we do things in kilometers and kilograms, and I continually do conversions of Celsius to Fahrenheit. But everywhere you go, time is the same. So I want you to think about how time is relatively yours. It's up to you to do with that time, whatever time you're given. I'm not here to tell you what to do with that time, but I just want you to think about, through these stories, what is the best way that I can maximize my time to make sure that I'm having as much fun as possible. So there will come a point in time where your time is up, where you need to make a change. That time for me came in 2008, where I was working as a financial analyst, working hard, feeling as though I deserved this promotion. The promotion never came. And for me at that point, I said, I think it's time for me to make a change. That time will also come for you. That time will not be 6 months from now when you're sitting in your cubicle and say, man, I hate getting up at 7 in the morning every day. Let the job sink in and stick around for a little while. But you will come around to a point in time where you say, I need to do something else. So for me, that time to make that change was to take the GMAT, study, took the GMAT, I applied to business school, got accepted, and within a year, I had quit my job, which was extraordinarily scary at the time. I mean, income is a nice thing. My mother and my father were saying, oh, he's back on the payroll again. But I quit my job and I went back to school full time. And I achieved, and I got my MBA, and I graduated in 2011. But I had to know that it was time to leave. It was time to change the scenery to allow for an opportunity for me to unleash what I thought was my full potential. And you'll get to that point where you need to make that change. It may not be necessarily as drastic as quitting your job. It may be changing a function, or maybe it's going to bed at 11 o'clock instead of 2 a.m. But nonetheless, you'll find that there's a time where you need to make a change something that will really help you tackle and take on that next level of opportunity. So, just as important as it's knowing when it's time to leave, it's also important to know when to say yes. So that time came for me when I finished my rotational program and I was applying for jobs within the company. Started looking around and I saw this job in Dubai. Said, all right, let's toss in my application and see what happened. Somehow they had the faith in me to offer me the position. So June 25th, I accepted the job. On July 27th, I was on a one-way plane ticket to the Middle East. Now, I was scared, nervous, excited, leaving everything that I knew behind, but I felt as though it was the time to say yes. And I felt that if someone had the faith in me to offer me that opportunity, to have the faith that I had the skills in order to do it, because I certainly had plenty of doubts. It's like, what if I'm not good enough? But someone said, Ian, we think you have what it takes. Come on over and hang out. So you have to take that opportunity to take the time to step back and say, is this that opportunity that's really going to help me get to the next level? And know when to say yes, know when to get on that plane, know when to accept that job opportunity, that's something that's a stretch goal for you that you may not necessarily think you can do, but someone's giving you that chance. Know when to take the time to say yes. Now let's jump right into this lesson number 4. Know when to stop and say thank you. None of you got here alone, even those of you who paid your way through college. Someone had to admit you to Pitt. There was a professor that gave you an extension on that paper when your dog ate your homework or whatever the case may be. You even had that parental cash infusion of when you only had $5 left in your bank account so you can go and get an Antunes pizza or Sorrento's pizza late at night. So know when to stop and say thank you, because there are a lot of people that came before you to help you, to invest time in you, to make sure that you could be the best you could be, to give you a break sometimes. Your parents, your brother, your sister, your grandparents, whomever the case may be, they deserve a thank you. There will be many more people in your life and in your career that deserve that thank you. So that's something, that's a phrase that you should never forget for the rest of your life, and take time every day to think about how you can say thank you to someone. So that leads me to number 5. Know when to stop and lift someone up, to help someone. Because of number 4, because you need to stop and say thank you, you owe number 5. You have to stop and come back and help out, to mentor students, to help students, to once again liaise with your professors. Maybe they need your input or your help in some of the real-world experiences that you're given. Now, you're college graduates. You're all broke. I remember I was. So I'm not asking you to start cutting the large checks to the university, but I guarantee you that your time is so very valuable and so very important to come back and provide that to the university. I know the big checks will come soon enough, but give your time. Stop and think about how you can lift someone up and help them get across some of those hurdles that you may have had. Take the time to lift someone up. So finally, in that light, there'll come a time where you hit a wall. Those cubicle walls will look a little too familiar, and you're going to say to yourself, what am I doing here? I need a little bit of help. I'm in a rut. So I guess that's why I'm here today. It's because I care about you. Now, you've just met me, but we're all Pitt alums. We're all family. So I want you to know that I do care. I care about your success. I care about how you're looking to be successful, what roadblocks you're hitting. So you can feel free to email me at ianwtf15@yahoo.com. It's a real email, I promise you. Now you're wondering, what does WTF stand for? It stands for Wow, Time Flies. Because time will pass very quickly. And you'll get into these modes where everything's running on all cylinders, like I said, but you're going to hit a wall sometimes. You're like, I just need to ask somebody something, maybe get a little bit of advice. So email me, ianwtf15@yahoo.com. The advice is free. Take it or leave it. But once again, I do care about you. I want you to succeed. I want you to have fun with the next step. When you're not having fun, that's when it's time to go. So I want you to remember, number one, put in the time and do the work. Number two, know when it is time to leave. Number three, know when it's time to say yes. Number four, know when to stop and say thank you. Number five, know when to stop and lift someone up. Now my time is up on this stage. It's your turn to take your stage and do great things with your time. Thank you for listening, and hail to Pitt.